To many gamers these days, the title streamer is equivalent to the title hacker, and no matter how much one person clears their name, another cheater gets caught. My recent videos discussing the top 250 ranked players on Modern Warfare 2 admitting that they're cheating for their entire career, as well as players that were formerly in the CDL being caught cheating. These brought attention to the situation, and you can check those videos out after this one if you want, but with seemingly no end in sight, where does that leave you? The type of person who still wants to improve and learn from the legitimate good players. You want to learn what the professional players in the Call of Duty League do to be great, but you can rest assured knowing that I'll continue releasing every single tip and trick that I have learned from being a competitive Call of Duty player since early 2010. Not always at a high level, but I did try hard when I was younger. One way I went from being a wannabe sweat to the nerd that I am now is from listening to the pro players. But the problem is, their content is usually just them on stream recording a quick video for easy views. Now, I actually want to help the casual gamer in this community grow, as well as everyone else. And as everyone improves, maybe there will be less hackers around. Maybe? I mean, of course not. They'll always take the easy way out, but you don't, and that's why you're here. So without further ado, here are 3 easy techniques that streamers and professional players use that can raise your KD immediately. Tip number 1 is camera-ing, and this is a weird verb that was created by the gaming community, and it refers to breaking someone's camera, meaning that you hit them with a move at just the right time where you completely break their centering and their aim assist. This used to be done with slide canceling very easily, and it was one of the things that was a broken beauty at times. However, with the removal of slide canceling and almost all other movement, people have forgotten that camera-ing is still a thing. It is still possible, and the way to do it now is much less flashy but still incredibly effective. The first part of this is listening, also known as sound whoring. If an enemy is trying to push you out of your cover, once you hear them getting close to you, you're gonna simply run forward and jump towards the enemy's side, either their left or right side. Now be ready to correct your aim aggressively here, as your aim assist will do most of the work as long as you keep your screen centered on your enemy. And if you need help with centering, take a look at my video I posted on that just a few videos back. And while you do that, your aim assist will kick in, you'll be jumping just out of the opponent's aim assist bubble, way too quickly for them to react in most cases. This also takes advantage of something known as Peeker's advantage, and if you've been here before, you've seen that video that I made as well. I did make a video explaining why people jump around corners and why it feels like they melt you before you even see them. It isn't cheats, it's actually the horrible servers of Call of Duty, so make sure you start utilizing this when people push you. Let them get close and then jump towards them at the last second. And another more common way to camera someone is drop shotting. This is an age-old trick from the earliest days of COD. Simply lay down while you shoot, and that's it. But to utilize this even more effectively, do it as you turn corners, similar to jumping the corner. If you do, oftentimes your character will be hidden by the opponent's weapon, and you'll have an easy kill. Their barrel will kind of block your character, and they won't see you at all. This is effective because it utilizes not only making yourself a moving target that's harder to hit, but it also utilizes the Peeker's advantage that we just discussed if you do it around the corners. And trust me, load up a game of shipment, run to the middle of the map and drop shot as soon as you hit that corner. They will never see it coming. Also, at the end of this video, I will have settings for drop shotting if you need them. Tip number 2 is all about decision making. Now, a lot of times people will see the clips of players getting 3 to 4 kills rapidly and just assume that the players they're killing are bots and that the streamer they're watching didn't have to put in any real effort to get those kills. In reality, the amount of micro decisions that were made were likely abundant, and that is why the fight looks so smooth and so easy. Now, obviously, a lot of streamers, they're not honest about their lobbies. A lot of them do use VPNs and they reverse boost to try to get into bot lobbies, but even then, not everyone can do great with a VPN lobby. You still have to be better than the players that you run into. Decision making is the intangible ability to find yourself the upper hand in every situation. I am releasing a full video soon about decision making and game IQ in Call of Duty, so be on the lookout for that. But for now, to sum it up, the way streamers get the upper hand in these fights, even if it's a 4 versus 1, is beginning with map knowledge. They know all the different jump spots, the lines of sight, the high traffic areas, and the way players usually play those. For example, on Warzone's new map Vandal, I know players camp on the rooftops together watching doors, so instead of running through the door based on this knowledge, I like to open the door and back up. Usually the players will begin to shoot before they even see me, as they're gonna panic when they hear the door open, and it gives away their position, so I'll know which corners they're in or which areas they're watching me from. Usually if you open a door someone's watching and then you back up, the player will get antsy and then they'll run into the door to try to fight you, giving you an easy kill. And it's the small decisions like that. And in Call of Duty, it's easy to oversimplify things and just run around the map looking for fights. But taking 1 to 2 seconds to think of things differently like this can go a long way, especially in a situation like what I just described, where if someone pushes through your doorway and you get an easy kill on them, they're gonna start screaming to their teammates where you are, their teammates are gonna panic and run at you. There's a ton of different things, but the main thing I'd say here is to make sure you realize that the other players aren't going to be thinking as far ahead as you. So just prepare for that. If you get a knock on one person, run to a different area. I've been saying this since my very first tips video on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Ranked. Be unpredictable. That's one of the big parts of decision making as well. Again, a full video coming on that soon, so I'm going to stop with this tip here. But most of you guys are already smart enough to know what to do. You just don't think about it in game. So next time you're playing, I want you to just take a second to think, okay, if I come up here and I kill one person, what's my next step? And then from there, take action. The last tip I have for today is making sure that you take advantage of off angles, and this is a very underappreciated part of Call of Duty's small skill gap that is only usually a part of the thought process of better players at times. Yes, usually the crazy clips that you see are diving, sliding, and jumping into 4v1 gunfights, but the best players always know when to slow it down and hold a pre-aim and hold a different corner or an angle, and most players at some point know that they may need to relax when they're getting smoked in a game. So they sit back on a head glitch, you know, one of the common areas that everyone checks, and while that works a lot of times, if you go to an obvious spot, people will either check it and kill you, or they'll completely ignore it if you're on a strong enough head glitch, and they'll just go somewhere else. You'll be sitting there wasting your time. They just won't go that way, and they'll let you pre-aim at nothing for hours. Enter off angles. Simply put, this is just when you lay in a spot that no one would ever think to check, or behind cover that no one normally uses. And in Modern Warfare 2, with how slow the ADS speed is and the sprint to fire time, if your enemy is rushing straight towards the objective and you lay down at a corner that they never think to check and wait for them to push, by the time that they see you, they'll be dead. They shouldn't have enough time to react unless your aim is... The best way to utilize this is to go somewhere that the enemy will push from your left side, because of course another thing people don't think about often is every Call of Duty character carries the weapon right-handed, meaning if the enemy is swinging the corner to their left, it'll take even longer for them to see you. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but to put it simply, if you're watching a specific lane or an angle that the enemy will push from your left side, it's much more likely that you'll kill them than if they come from your right side. So next time you're pushing the map and you get a kill, whether it's multiplayer or Warzone, instead of running straight like a chicken with your head cut off, find you an off angle, lay down, and wait for the enemy to push you after their teammate gives that call out. They're gonna wait for you to run through, and if you don't, they're gonna think you went the opposite direction, so they're gonna push your way, and you're gonna have the easiest kill. Is it ratty? Yes. Does it take a ton of skill to sit in a corner or in an off angle? It sure doesn't, and that's the best part about it. The worst players in the world and the best players in the world both can equally utilize this position, and that's why I think it's so important that people remember it. And that's, again, something I continuously say throughout these videos. Call of Duty is a very easy game, and most of you guys can watch a tips video and learn these things very easily, but the next step is actually remembering to utilize them and doing them at the right time. Find you an angle where you can just lay down and relax and get a free kill, and then get back to being very aggressive if you'd like to. As long as you're mixing it up, like I said, that is the biggest factor here. You may not believe me, it may sound silly, but give me your trust with this tip and the other two, and you'll improve instantly for Warzone 2 Ranked, multiplayer ranked, or if you want to go drop 20 bombs in some public matches on Warzone, you can do that too. As far as settings for drop shots go, there's a few different options. Obviously on mouse and keyboard, you're going to be able to bind your prone button to whatever you want it to be. Me personally, I keep it on control for any game that I do play on mouse and key, but personally I play controller on Call of Duty. I play with the default button layout. The reason for that is because I have a scuff controller, so I have paddles on the back. So for me to drop shot, all I have to do is click the paddle. I don't have to take my thumb off of my aim stick. If you don't have paddles, you're gonna wanna switch to tactical. The reason for that is because you can drop shot with your right stick while still keeping your thumb on the aim stick. That way you don't have to do anything that can take away your ability to aim. Now there's a lot of different options in here. Feel free to mess with any of them as you please. Now bumper jumper is another good option, although this doesn't necessarily help for drop shotting, but if you put it on bumper jumper tactical, it will. But what it does is it basically just switches your jump button with your LB or your left bumper or L1 on PlayStation. That way you can jump shot people without having to move your thumb as well. Just a few options that are very, very helpful, but if you have a scuff controller or battle beaver or something like that with paddles, you're going to be in good standing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that's going to do it for today's video. Videos weren't too frequent over the last month or so. I got a lot of ideas for videos that I can still post during this off season where we're waiting on Modern Warfare 3 news and we're waiting on the new Call of Duty title in general. general. But as always, I do ask if you have any ideas, let me know down below. A lot of people have been asking for ranked guides still, and I was kind of surprised by that. I figured people would stop playing ranked, seeing as there's no new rewards and the pro season is over. But if you guys are still looking for that, go ahead and make your voice heard down below, and I will go ahead and probably just do an entire guide, like a really long video that has every single map and mode involved. But let me know. Thank you for the continued support. Don't worry, this channel is not going to slow down, and be on the lookout for streams as well. Twitch and Kick are down below. I also stream on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Like the video if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.